discuss polygraphy and parts and function of it. First, what is polygraphy? Polygraphy is the scientific method of detecting deception with the use of polygraph machine. Ang polygraphy, ito yung yung scientific method kung saan dinedetect natin yung mga kasinungalingan by the use of machine. A polygraph is a device or procedure used to measure and record physiological responses like heart rate, blood pressure, respiration, and skin conductivity while a person answer a question. Ang polygraph ay isang device kung saan mini-measure at nire-record nito yung mga paggalaw ng ating mga muscle, basta yung mga may dalawa tayong uri ng polygraph. Ang analog, yung nakikita natin sa picture, ito yung lumang instrument ng polygraph na ginagamitan ng mga papel. Dito nasusulat yung mga wave, yung wavelength. Kung siya ba ay nagsisinungaling o hindi. At nare-record dito yung kanyang physiological responses. At yung isa pang types ng polygraph ay ang isang computerized polygraph o ito yung ginagamit sa kasalukuyan. Ito naman ay mas maganda kaysa dun sa luma dahil nakikita na natin sa screen gamit ng computer yung kanilang physiological responses. At ang isa pang ang mga advantage nito ay dito pwede mo i-record at i-save yung mga kanyang physiological responses. May apat tayong uri ng main components ng polygraph. Ang una ay yung pneumograph. Ito ay nire-record dito ang kanyang respiratory activity katulad ng kanyang paghinga. Ang sumunod ay ang cardiograph. Ang cardiograph naman ay nire-record nito yung kanyang cardiovascular activity o yung heart rate and pulse rate. Ito yung cardiograph. At ang isa pa ay ang galvanograph. Ang responsible to sa pag-produce ng graphic recording sa kanyang skin resistant or yung electrodermal activity o yung pagpapawis at panginginig ng kanyang daliri. Ang huling components ng polygraph ay ang chemograph. Ang chemograph ay ginagamit lamang sa analog. Ang analog ay ito yung lumang uri ng polygraph. Dito, nare-record yung physiological response mo dahil ilalagay mo dito ang iyong isang daliri. Meron tayong accessory components. Una, ang polygraph chair. Ang polygraph chair naman, dito nare-record yung ating muscular movement ng ating subject during interrogation. Dito nare-record at sa ilalim kung saan nare-record ang kanyang physiological responses ng kanyang muscles. Dito naman sa plethysmograph, ito ay isang device na sinusukat ang blood volume sa katawan ng tao. At may dalawang uri ito, ang occlusion tsaka photoelectric. Ang occlusion naman, ito yung isang technique kung saan yung iyong limb o yung braso mo o kaya yung binte, iaangat para hindi mag-flow yung dugo. I-restrict mo yung mga ugat mo para makita yung blood volume. At ang isa pa ay yung photoelectric. Ito ay ginagamitan ng infrared light para makita kung gaano kadami ang dugo sa ating katawan. A graphic representation containing selected physiological data generated by examining. Ito naman, ang polygraph ay isang kumpleto at recorded chart ng physiological responses like blood pressure, pulse, respiration, and skin conductivity during examination ng polygraph. At may dalawang uri tayo ng polygraph. Ang computerized at yung analog. Dito sa analog, papel yung ginagamit. Ito, nakikita nyo. At ang computerized naman ay nakikita sa monitor. May dalawang tao tayo during polygraph examination. Ang polygraphist at yung subject. Ang polygraphist, ito yung mga taong nakumpleto nila yung pag-aaral at yung training ng polygraph examination. At authorized na sila or formally certified by the examiner's agency. O tinatawag din silang polygraph examiner or polygrapher. At yung isa naman is yung subject. Ito naman yung mga tao na nag-undergo ng polygraph examination. At ang tawag sa mga subject natin ay examinee. May iba't ibang uri tayo na subject or examinee. Meron tayong victim, witness, accused, job applicant, or employee or personnel. During polygraph examination, may tinatawag tayong stimulus. Yung stimulus, ito yung force or motion reaching the organism and excites the perceptors. O yung tinatawag natin sa interrogation or polygraph examination, ang stimulus natin dito ay yung pagtatanong. Dahil natitrigger natin yung subject natin sa pagtatanong. At nare-record natin yung kanyang physiological responses.
And let's just move on to module 3, the type of liars. Number 1 is sociopathic liars. Sociopathic liars are those who lie continuously to get their own way without care or concern to others because they are goal-oriented. Sociopathic liars is ito yung mga tao na mga type of liars na gusto lang nilang makuha yung gusto nila at wala silang pakialam kahit kanino. And second is compulsive liars. Compulsive liars are someone who continually lies as a habit. They feel discomfort of being truthful because lying makes them feel right. Compulsive liars. This type of liars are ito yung type na mga sinungaling na tao na ginagawa nilang habit yung pagsisinungaling. Hindi sila nabubuhay or hindi nabubuo yung araw nila kapag hindi sila nagsisinungaling. The third one is occasional liars. Occasional liars are those who seldom tell lies. They quickly ask forgiveness from individual because they lied too. Occasional liars, ito yung mga taong na kapag nagsisinungaling sila is humihingi agad sila ng tawad kasi nga nagsinungaling sila. And fourth one is panic liars. Panic liars are those who lie in order to avoid consequences or confession. They are afraid of embarrassment, to believe that confession will worsen the matter. Panic liars, ito yung mga sinungaling na tao na nagsisinungaling sila to avoid consequences. para makatakas sila sa isang bagay, kasi nga takot silang mapahiya or like takot silang mapalala yung isang bagay. Occupational liars are those considered to be practical liars, for they when lie it has higher payoff than telling truth. Occupational liars, ito yung mga taong nagsisinungaling kasi nga practical. Example na lang si paano ba? Yung isang tindera is nagbebenta ng isang product para maraming bumili sa kanya, is dinadagdagan niya ng information yung product na binibenta niya para mas may lalong bumili, o para nga in case nungaling sila para magkaroon ng pera para mas marami bumili. And tournament liars are those who love lie and are excited to challenge not being detected. An interview is contest they want to win. They realize that they will probably convicted but will not anyone's satisfaction of hearing them confess. Ito yung mga sinungaling na tao na gusto nilang magsinungaling, or sinusubukan nila yung isang tao. Example lang, sa isang interview, sinusubukan nila yung interview na hindi sila ma-detect kasi nga gusto nilang manalo. Example lang nito, ini-interview si Juan, ni police officer, sa isang kaso, and ayaw niyang sabihin or nagsisinungaling siya as a tournament. Parang kwan dito, kapag sure ako na hindi mo ako kayang huliin, kapag nahuli mo ako, ikukulong mo ako. Pag nahuli mo ako nagsinungaling, kulong mo na ako. And psychopathic liars are those most difficult type. These persons have no conscience and show no regret. Ito yung mga sinungaling na tao na mahirap tukuyin kung nagsisinungaling sila or hindi, kasi confident sila sa sinasabi nila, sinungaling man o hindi. Ethnological liars are those who are taught not to be squealer. Example ng ethnological liars is yung sa isang organization. May nagtanong sa'yo kung anong nangyayari dito sa isang organization, para hindi nila malaman or para hindi ka mag-squeal, nagsisinungaling ka, hindi mo sinasabi yung totoo kasi nga you are trained liars. Sinabi sa'yo ng boss mo na wag mong sasabihin kahit kanino yung nalalaman mo dito sa ating kumpanya, and dahil doon nagsisinungaling ka na. And pathological liars are person who cannot distinguish right and wrong due to sick minds. Kagaya ng kanina, ito yung mga sinungaling na tao na nagsisinungaling sila kasi nga hindi nila alam kung tama o mali ba yun, kasi nga meron silang problema sa kanilang pag-iisip. Black liars are those person who always pretend that what is wanting his attempts for himself. Ito yung mga taong sinungaling na iniisip lang nila yung sarili nila, wala silang pakialam sa ibang tao, kahit magsinungaling man sila or kahit masaktan or mag-harm sa ibang tao. And last one is white liars. Ito yung mga taong sinungaling na nagsisinungaling sila para mag-benefit sa iba or para hindi masaktan yung damdamin ng iba. Kagaya na example ko kanina is yung sa ang batang kumain ng ice cream. Tinanong siya ng nanay niya kung hindi pala yun. Example ng white liars is yung tinanong ka ng kaibigan mo dahil may bago siya damit, tinanong ka niya kung maganda raw ba yung damit niya, para hindi masaktan yung kanyang damdamin. Sinabi mo lang na oo kahit hindi naman. And that's all in module 2 and 3. Thank you.
So So po, ako po si Mark Marek, reporting ng scientific methods of detecting deceptions. So ang number 1 natin is intoxication. Ang sinasabi lang sa may intoxication is a physiological state induced by the consumption of alcohol. So ano nga ba yung sinasabi doon? So himayin mo natin ang physiological, which is ito yung mapupunta sa central nervous system, ito yung utak. So kapag under influence ka ng alcohol, pwede magbago yung brain activity mo. So magpo-function yung body mo. So kung tatanungin kung pwede ba to sa criminal investigation, ang sagot is no. Kasi pag under intoxication ng tao, pwede 50-50 yung sinasabi niya. So pwede mo lang siyang gawing lead or ibid mo siya during intoxication niya. Then pagkatapos niya, sa intoxication na yun, tanungin mo siya kung totoo ba yung sinasabi niya during intoxication niya. Kasi kapag under intoxication ka, under influence ka ng alcohol, hindi mo makakontrol yung mga sinasabi mo, then pwedeng totoo, pwede rin hindi. Yun lang. So lipat naman tayo sa number 2, yung hypnosis. So ang sinasabi lang sa hypnosis, special physiological state with a certain physiological attributes. Sleep only superficial and marked by a functioning of the individual at the level of awareness other than the ordinary conscious state. So ang sinasabi lang naman dito is yung pampakalma sa tinatanong para mas access yung hidden memories and potentially uncover deceptions, particularly in context of criminal investigation. Kung tatanungin naman kung pwede siya sa criminal investigation, ito ang sagot. Isa siyang historically explored as a tool for lie detection, is generally considered unreliable kasi not admissible in settings due to concern about suggestibility and potential for fabrication under hypnosis. Kasi ito po sinasabi, while might be used to enhance recall in some contexts, is used to determining truthfulness and questionable. So pwede mo lang siyang pakalmahin, tanungin kung ano yung kailangan mo doon kasi pag kalmado yung utak ng tao is mas madali niyang maalala kung ano yun. So hindi siya reliable sa sa criminal investigation. So lipat naman tayo sa number 3. So number 3, word association test. Nasabi nito is a physiological test intended to reveal associative connection between stimulus word and free verbal responses. So ang sinasabi lang naman dito sa word association test is yung kapag may word na sinabi ang isang tao, ano yung unang pumapasok agad sa isip mo. So kapag example na lang, kapag sinabing aso, anong una mong naisip na breed, ganun. So i-relate naman natin sa criminal investigation. So may papakita, example, may papakita sa yung mga pictures, mga ganun. Or salita na nagtutugma sa may krimen na yon. Kung anong unang pumasok sa isip mo, yun yung tinatawag na word association test. So number 4 naman, yung truth serum test. Ang sinasabi sa may truth serum test is a physioactive medication used to obtain information from subjects whom unable or unwilling to provide otherwise. So ang ginagamit lang naman daw yung truth serum test sa mga unwilling na magsabi. So ang truth serum test is yung gamot siya na tinuturok sa tao at ang tawag dun is sodium thiopental and sodium pentothal, marketed as pentothal. Then amobarbital, commonly called as sodium amytal, and scopolamine. So ang truth serum test is yung nilalagay sa may syringe, ituturok sa'yo, then makapagsabi ka ng mga secrets or makapagsabi ka ng information sa nagtatanong sa'yo. So So dati nabibili to sa may butika. Tapos ngayon is bad na siya kasi yun nga makapagsabi ka ng mga hindi dapat sabihin na information. Kung tatanungin naman kung reliable ba to sa criminal investigation, ang sagot is no. Kasi ginagamitan ka dito ng drugs eh. So hindi to reliable. And number 5, physiological stress evaluator. Detects guilt revealing laryngeal microtremors which exist in the voice and are associated with stress and lying. So ang sinasabi lang naman dito sa physiological stress evaluator which is ito yung kapag tinatanong ka ng interview, yung boses mo is parang hindi siya parang yung garal-gal siya. Yung parang tutuyan ka ng ng saliva sa lalamunan. So magkarugtong yung number 6, yung computer voice stress analyzer. So mamaya muna yan. Dito muna tayo sa physiological stress evaluator. Yun lang naman sinasabi doon yung sa may larynx mo, yung voice box. Yung parang, hindi siya parang garal-gal talaga yung boses na kinukulang sa saliva. Then sa number 6 naman, computer voice stress analyzer. Ang sinasabi ito is based on hypothesis that there are infrasonic components of human voice not audible to observer cause physiological phenomenon present in muscle called microtremor. So, kanina naman yung garal-gal na boses mo, yung nakikita sa may physiological stress evaluator. Ngayon naman dito sa may computer voice analyzer, dito naman yung yung pwede mo siyang i-record through computer. So, pag may nakita doon na parang spike doon kung anong tinanong siya during doon, titignan. So, example, pag tinanong yung pangalan mo, normal naman. Taga saan ka, normal naman. Ilang taon ka na, normal naman. So, kapag may iba ng tinanong which is nag-spike siya, so ayun doon na makikita. Ang tawag doon is yung muscle na called microtremor. So, yun yung number 6, yung computer voice stress analyzer. So, ang dinedetect doon is yung voice box. Same siya ng 5, yung physiological stress evaluator. So, lipat tayo sa number 7, yung neuro-linguistic programming ni Richard Bandler and John Grinder in the 1970s. So, ang sinasabi naman ito is, this method has been claimed that by watching a person's eye movements, an interviewer can determine if a person is remembering a past event. So, ang sinasabi sa may neuro-linguistic program is, yung taong hindi makatingin ng diretso sa iyo is nagsisinungaling. So, kung i-relate naman natin to sa may criminal investigation, hindi naman lahat ng mga tingin ng diretso is nagsisinungaling or may ibang ano ba tawag doon? Alibi. Ginagawa nilang alibi. So, hindi. Yung iba kasi may sakit. So, pag ginamit to sa may modern sa ngayon is hindi siya reliable kasi yung mga taong di makatingin ng diretso is hindi lahat sinungaling. Then, may dadagdag pa ako. Yung sa may method na neuro-linguistic, ang titignan dito is yung eye movements. So, yun nga, pag, example, during interview, di makatingin ng diretso sa'yo. Pag makatingin ng diretso sa'yo, pag tinatanong mo kung saan nakatingin, tapos parang may nire-recall sila, ganun. Yun lang naman sinasabi sa neuro-linguistic programming. So, lipat naman tayo sa may 8, yung brainwave fingerprinting. Ang sinasabi sa may brainwave fingerprinting uses brain reading techniques to determine whether specific information is stored in a subject brain, measuring electric wave responses to words, phrases, or pictures presented on a computer screen. So, example, during interrogation, yung sa may crime scene na photograph yun. And then, flash sa may screen. Doon yung may parang sa may sa computer voice analyzer yung may parang yung may response yung voice mo naman, doon naman yung brainwave ng utak mo yung may na-restore doon. So pag may pinakita naman dito na picture sa'yo, yun naman yung maaalala mo agad kung during during that time kung yung may flash yung screen. So Sa may crime scene, may pinas na may motor doon. So, naalala mo yung motor na dumaan doon. Ganon. So, sa may naman, lipat tayo sa may 9. Ay, wait lang. May dadagdag lang pala ako sa brainwave fingerprinting. So, ang brainwave fingerprinting is, siya, pag ginamit sa criminal investigator, ito yung reliable siya. Nasabi ko na tayo. Kasi, dito sinasabi, Fairwell colleagues report over 99% accuracy in laboratory research and real-life field application. Yun lang naman nadagdag ko. Then, 9, micro-expressions. Ang micro-expressions naman is, ito lang naman yung expression ng mga tao pag yung respond ng emotion natin, ganon. Expression. So, kapag example, pag tinanong ka na, nakita mo ba itong tao to, nakita mo naman siya during that day, para magugulat ka na yung mukha mo is, parang na-shock, ganun. Yun yung mga expression. At dito pala yung mga expression which is yung anger, contempt, disgust, fear, happiness, sadness, or surprise. Yan yung sinasabi doon. So, lipat tayo sa may last, yung polygraphy. Yung polygraphy naman, ito yung mga lahat na kanina, yung past kanina na 1 to 9. So, ang polygraph is, So, ang polygraph is, ito yung machine records graphically the physiological responses of the subject. So, dito lang yung nire-record yung mga respiration, sweating, blood pressure, and pulse rate. So, ang sinasabi lang dito is yung mga pag-record ng mga yung blood pressure, pulse rate mo. So, it is based upon theory that once lie has been made or that emotion-evoking stimulus has been given and conscious mental effort, a normally conditioned person causes physical and physiological changes in the body which is capable or being recorded, diagnosed, and interpreted. So, ito yung may ginagamitan ka na kung ano-ano sa may katawan mo, yung may sasalpak-salpak, yung sa may blood pressure, yung nilalagay sa may braso, ganon. Then sa may pulse rate para makita yon, yung mga paghinga mong ganon, makita doon. So kapag gumana sa yung parasympathetic, yung sinasabi nga nila, ito yung mamumutla ka kasi naging relax yung katawan mo. Then kapag kapag sumobra naman, ito na yung mamumula ka. Yung sa may respiration naman yon, yung mga skin resistance, mga ganun. And then dito mo rin makita yung sinasabing,
Hi, I discussed Module 7, the phases of polygraph examination. So, what is polygraph examination? Polygraph examination is the use of an instrument to graphically record simultaneously the physiological changes in human respiration, cardiovascular activity, and any other psychological changes. Sabi dito, isa itong instrument sa pagre-record upang malaman yung pagbabago ng human respiration, cardiovascular activity, and any other psychological changes. Ang purpose nito is to verify the truth or deception and includes reading the interpretation of polygraph records and result. So, meron siyang types ng pag-examine. Ito yung preliminary preparation, the pre-test interview, and the examination proper. So, isa-isa natin. Ano nga ba yung preliminary preparation? Preliminary preparation, this stage is initial interview with the investigator handling the case or the person requesting it. The group involved is this stage are the victim or the compliant. Sabi dito, dapat kumpleto sila bago mag-conduct. Yung investigator, suspect, tapos yung kung sa nangyari sa crime scene. Sabi dito, dapat yung ang nandito sa preliminary preparation bago sila mag-conduct, meron silang suspect, witness, and victim, tapos compliant. Then susunod, indicate, report, or spot suspect, yung pinaghihinalaan nila, and sketch yung nangyari sa crime scene, tapos yung mga exact time, ganun. Then susunod naman is yung the pre-test interview. So this is the stage of the interview of the subject, the primary purpose of prepare or condition subject for the test. Ito na yung sabi dito, yung na pine-prepare na yung naka-prepare na yung pag-iimbestigan nila. Yung suspect, dapat kompleto sila bago sila mag-conduct. Then dapat meron ding sinabi sa kanila, sa suspect, na yung karapatan nila, na sabi dito, the following right to the subject must be informed. Number 1 is the right to remain silent. Number 2, anything he says may be used in favor against him or her. Number 3, the right to have lawyer of choice. And pang-apat, yung right to refuse. Pangatlo naman is the examination proper, or sinasabing in-test spaces. Sabi dito, after the pre-test interview, the examiners should be proceed to the placement or attachment of polygraph sensor. Sabi dito, dapat dito pagka sunod-sunod dapat yung pag-iimbestiga nila para hindi magulo. Sabi dito, the first to be attached by pneumograph, susundan naman ng cardiograph, and the last is galvanograph sensors. And sabi dito, review all the question with the subject before the actual examination. Sabi dito, i-review muna nila yung mga nangyari bago sila mag-conduct ng interview. Then meron naman tatlong process, merong parts ng pang-interview, polygraph examination. Ito yung tatawag na NDI, na o kung sabing no deception indicated. Sabi dito, the subject is telling the truth, yung nagsasabi ng totoo. DI, deception indicated, the subject is not telling the truth, hindi naman nagsasabi ng totoo. INC, inconclusive, the evaluation of the psychological data is conclusive. Ito naman yung paiba-iba ng statement, hindi alam kung totoo o hindi. Then meron din namang basis of polygraph examination. Number 1, autonomic nervous system responses. Sinusukat kung ang isang tao ay nagsasabi ng totoo o hindi, dahil yung nararamdaman natin ay hindi natin kayang kontrolin. Number 2, polygraph sensor. Ginagawa ito upang makita ang mga hindi kusang nagre-respond sa ating katawan kapag tinatanong ang isang tao. Tulad ng pagbilis ng tibok ng puso o pulso, o pagtaas ng pawis, mabilis pagpawisan. May tatlong types naman yung polygraph sensor, yung cardiovascular activity, tapos pangalawa respiratory activity, tapos galvanic skin responses. Pangatlo, questioning techniques. Ito naman yung paraan sa pagtatanong na ginagamit upang makakuha ng tama at totoong impormasyon. Number 4, analysis of psychological responses. Ginagamit naman ito upang tukuyin kung may emosyonal na reaksyon ang isang tao sa mga tinatanong. Number 5, interpretation of result. Sabi dito, the examiner evaluates the psychological data to determine if there are significant differences between the responses to relevant and control questions. Sabi dito, ito yung pagsusuri sa mga resulta mula sa mga experiment tulad ng polygraph examination and medical test. Meron din siyang types, yung accuracy, emotional responses, countermeasures, and individual difference. Sabi naman dito sa accuracy, the accuracy of polygraph test has been matter of debate. False positive and false negative can occur, leading to erroneous conclusion. Then emotional responses naman, sabi dito, the polygraph may not always differentiate between deception and other emotional states. Ito yung natural naman na nararamdaman ng ating damdamin sa iba't ibang sitwasyon. Countermeasures, sabi dito, individuals can learn to control their psychological responses. Isa itong paraan na ginagawa ng isang tao upang linlangin ang tanong ay linlangin ang tamang resulta ng isang pagsusuri tulad ng lie detector test. So, last naman, individual differences. Psychological responses can vary significantly between individuals, making it challenging to establish universal baseline. Sabi naman, ito naman yung tumutukoy sa mga kanya-kanyang personalidad o ugali, kakayanan, at pag-iisip ng isang tao. So, ano ulit ang basis of polygraph examination is a procedure that is necessary for conducting polygraph examination. They should strictly follow the process all throughout. All polygraph examination are administered in accordance with the code of ethics and the set of standards and principles of practice required. Yun lang. Thank you po.
Good day sir, and I will discuss the module 2, the kinds of lie. First, white lie or benign lie. What is white lie? White lie is to avoid harmful or realistic implications of the truth. Ang white lie daw ay ito yung nagsisinungaling ka para hindi masaktan yung damdamin ng isang tao. Example na lang, nakita mo yung kaibigan mo, may bago siyang damit, tapos tiyatanong niya sa'yo kung maganda daw ba ito. Siyempre, sasabihin mo na maganda ito para hindi masaktan yung damdamin niya kapag sinabi mong hindi maganda. The next one is black lie. Black lie is telling an untruth and attributing it to a false source. A lie accompanies pretensions and hypocrisies, intriguing the cause in dishonor or discredit of one's good image. Black lie is opposite of white lie. Kung sa white lie is nagsisinungaling ka para hindi masaktan yung damdamin ng isang tao, dito naman sa black lie is nagsisinungaling ka ng buo, yung sasaktan mo yung isang tao. Example na lang is nagsinungaling ka sa iyong kaklase para hindi ikaw yung maging trouble, or tinuro mo siya yung tinuro mo sa isang trouble para hindi ikaw yung para hindi ikaw yung mapahamak ka. And red lie is a lie common to communist countries It is used to destroy the common ideologies by means of propaganda. This involves political interests and motives because this is a part of communist or propaganda strategy. Red lie is a political lie. Example na lang po nito ay yung isang government ay nagbigay ng balita na nagsasabi na maayos pa yung kalagayan ng bansa or ng isang bansa or na-exercise ng mabuti yung democracy. Ginagawa itong red line na ito para mapaniwala yung mga tao na maganda pa yung isang government, isang political. Next one is aggressive lies. Are selling and may potentially damage to others. Therefore, most people would see them as clearly immoral. Sinasabi lang dito sa white lie sa aggressive lie. Yung aggressive lie is ito yung lie na may benefit lang sa'yo. Example na lang is sinabi mo na nag-cheat yung klase mo para matanggal siya sa pagka-honor, and nung nalaman ng teacher mo na nag-cheat yung kaklase mo dahil nga nagsinungaling ka para magka-benefit ka, nabigyan ka ng incentive ng teacher mo kasi nagsumbong ka. Ito yung line na ginagawa mo siya para mag-benefit lang yung sarili mo. The next one is bold-faced lie. It is told when it is obvious to all concerned is lie. Ito yung lie na nagsisinungaling ka pero obvious naman na nakikita. Example na lang, kinain mo yung ice cream sa rep, tapos tinanong sa'yo ng nanay mo kung sinong kumain ng ice cream sa rep, tapos dinay mo na ikaw kahit na punong-puno naman ng ice cream yung bibig mo or yung mukha mo. Perjury. Making verifiably false statements on material matter under oath or affirmation in a court of law. Perjury is ito yung nagsinungaling ka sa loob ng korte. Ito yung nanumpa ka sa korte na hindi ka magsisinungaling sa lahat ng sasabihin mo sa korte, tapos nagsinungaling ka. Yung perjury. The next one is malicious lie. A pure dishonesty to obstruct justice. It is a very pure and unjustifiable kind of lie that is intended to purely mislead or obstruct justice by a guilty accused person. Example ng malicious lie is isang tao ay nahuli sa salang murder, and tiyatanong siya nung officer kung siya daw ba o siya ba talaga yung pumatay sa taong yun, and nagsisinungaling siya, dinay niya pa rin na hindi siya pumatay, and it means na nilalabag niya yung justice sa pamamagitan ng kanyang pagsisinungaling dahil hindi niya sinabi yung totoo na siya talaga yung pumatay doon sa taong yun. Number 8, altruistic lies are those lies that are told to benefit someone else, to reduce suffering, or to help increase self-esteem, used to comfort, protect, and support deceive. Altruistic lie is common as the white lie. Itong altruistic lie ay nagsisinungaling ka para mag-benefit yung iba, and to reduce suffering para hindi masaktan yung kanilang damdamin at tumaas yung kanilang confidence sa kanilang sarili. Ginagawa din ito para mag-comfort ng isang tao. Number 9, pathological lies are those that are told even when there is no little or no apparent gain to the person who is lying. In fact, the lying occurs even when the results will be better if the truth were told. A lie made by a person who cannot distinguish right and wrong. Furthermore, The lie is not determined solely by situational factors and appears to the compulsive or fantastic. Pathological lie, ito yung nagsisinungaling ka, ito yung lie ng isang tao. Nagsisinungaling siya kahit wala siyang makukuhang gain or benefit. Kasi nga hindi niya alam na nagsisinungaling pala siya o hindi, kasi nga meron siyang sick mind. Meron silang sakit sa pag-iisip. Nagagawa nila to kasi hindi nila alam na nagsisinungaling pala sila or hindi. Number 10, emergency lies or defensive lies. Used when the truth may not told because of the harm that would become of it. Ang purpose ng lie na to is para ma-save yung iba or to protect others to the harm, para maprotektahan sila. Humorous lies or jocose lie, those aimed at amusing the listener or any intent to deceive, is transient and teasing. Characteristically, they involve some degree of preposterous exaggeration. And humorous lie or jocose lie, ito yung lie na pabiro siya or sarcasm. Nagsisinungaling ka lang para ma-joke o para mabiro yung isang tao. And humorous ay bluffing. Sinasabi sa bluffing is an act of deception that is not usually seen as immoral because it reflects the context of a game where it is a kind of deception that is contested to advance by the players. This kind of deception is accepted as a tactic even expected. Example ng bluffing is sa isang card game or sa isang baraha. Sinasabi mo dito na hindi ka marunong hindi mo alam mag-baraha or mag-poker, ganun sabi natin poker, hindi ka marunong mag-poker pero kalaunan magaling ka pala. And para ginagawa mo ito para mag-take advantage sa mga players or para hindi nila alam na ganun ka pala. Number 13, exaggeration is when the most fundamental aspect of the statement is true but the degree of its truthfulness is incorrect. Maximization or felt emotion reflects a dramatic attempt to influence another person. This apply is yung sinasabi mo sa isang tao is dinadagdagan mo lang ito. Number 14, minimization. The result of an individual's attempts to dampen external or appearance of a more deeply experienced emotion is minimization of emotional expression. Sabi dito sa minimization daw is binabawasan mo yung emotion mo kapag nagsisinungaling ka. Example na lang is may nangyari sa'yo or may hindi magandang mangyari sa'yo, tapos tinatanong sa'yo ng magulang mo or kahit sino or kaibigan mo. Para hindi mahalata na meron talaga is hindi mo pinapalta yung mukha mo na ikaw ay malungkot, galit, masaya or etc. And number 15, neutralization, an effort to mask emotional response by adopting a poker face. Psychoanalysts and other professionals may display relatively little response in their efforts to appear non-judgmental of the patient's clients or statements. Dito sa neutralization is hindi mo pinapalata yung emotional mo, hindi mo pinapakita, nagiging parang wala ka lang pakiramdam, walang reaksyon yung mukha mo kapag ikaw ay nagsisinungaling. Example na lang is may malungkot na nangyari sa'yo, tapos tinatanong sa'yo ng iyong kaibigan para hindi mahalata na meron talagang malungkot na nangyari sa'yo is nagiging neutral ka lang sa sarili mo, parang wala kang reaksyon. And substitution, number 16, substitution This common mechanism of hiding anyone's feeling. One of the most techniques is employed for this purpose is to substitute pleasure for a negative emotion. Smiling is one of the easiest nonverbal communication produced to mask feelings of arrogance, anxiety, or boredom. Example na lang ito ang sabi dito sa substitution is ito daw yung type of line na tiyatago mo yung totoong nararamdaman mo or pinapalitan mo ito. Example na lang is galit ka, tapos tinatanong sa'yo kung galit ka talaga, tapos di-deny mo or pinapalitan mo yung feelings mo, nagiging masaya ka, ganun. And lastly, number 17, promotion lie. A kind of lie used in advertisement or marketing strategies. It is used to influence consumer to buy products. Ang example ng promotion lie is sa mga business. And example nun is yung mga commercial like sa shampoo. Yung mga commercial na nagsasabi na bumili kayo ng gantong ng product ko kasi nga yung shampoo niya daw is nakakahaba agad ng buhok in just 1 week. Siyempre ginagawa mo yun para maraming bumili sa'yo or as use is as marketing strategies.